blah, blah, all this stuff. But I heard, so someone I don't prefer to listen to, but in a passing glance, I heard about 10-second sentence that Joel Osteen was springing forth, saying that every day we can live in victory. And I want to tell you, I thought about that, and I quickly realized that if every day, whatever circumstance we're facing, if we can trust in the Lord, we'll have that peace which will give you a victory, the victory at least of peace during that day.
Well, although I think I've moved on from Joel Osteen type teaching or Kenneth Hagin type teaching or Charles Capps or Kenneth Hagin. I think I've moved on from that. There's some of it that continues with me, and I think it's the good part. It's the part that really has the most scriptural application to it, balanced by the ways of Jesus. So I I value what I've learned from people that as I listened to them and as I heard them, I tried not to listen to them very hard because I thought there was such imbalance, not incorrectness, just imbalance. Uh, I thought that what they were saying was okay, but it was clear to me it was incomplete. And the thing that made it incomplete was, how do I appropriate these things in a way that serves God's interest in me and the sphere that I have responsibility for? It was all about me and God blessing me and God prospering me and God keeping me, which there's no real fault with that except when it becomes only about me. And so I learned some things that I now feel that my understanding says, now stretch that out over the people that you're in with. Stretch that out over the culture of the coastal bend. So you're looking for how these applications of truth serve God's interest over a geography and a culture. Because that's what I think they are most meant to communicate to us, is how do we appropriate and apprehend and distribute the life that we have in Jesus so that there's a life exchange and not just a truth exchange. Truth without life is just as dead as faith without works.
That's right. But and I don't mean to say exception to that statement. One thing that I believe the strongest with is that if you're not in peace, you're accepting a trouble, and because it's the negative that's causing you lack of peace, and the sooner you can come in agreement with God on whatever that situation is, uh, and have your trust, real faith. Real faith is nothing. Faith is another word for trust. Trust and faith are synonymous in my mind. And realize that He is in charge. That He knows what's taking place. He knows what's going on, and He has a plan, because He says, "I have a plan. I know the plans I have for you. They're good and not for evil. I know my plans for you. I have plans for you, and they're good. They're not for evil." Well, then then if that's the case, the plan that's coming against you is not from God. And so if you can trust God, if you can get yourself to a point of contact and trusting God uh, for yourself or for whatever, uh, you'll enter that peace and you'll have a victory. You'll have that victory. Uh, and it makes a major difference in your whole psychological makeup, I think, which then in turn uh, assists the rest of your chemical balance, nervous balance, and whatever else that that affects your health situation. And uh, I think that that's where one the part of the things we need to edify each other with consistently, edify and exhort and comfort. Let us gather together so we can comfort one another daily as the world degenerates and troubles come up. Brothers and sisters, one of the most important roles they have is shedding that light, the light that you have on any particular situation. You've confronted different situations than I have, and I have yours. But as these, and Thad also, and so as these situations come up, and if we meet together and we happen to broach the subject of whatever the case is, then here comes the edifying and the comforting and the exhortations uh, to strengthen the man's uh, faith process, and that's by letting that light that's in you shine forth. Uh, it's not supposed to be under a bushel basket. You're supposed to let it shine forth. Uh, it's the works that God's talking about, because without those works, faith is dead. Uh, you can have the most positive faith in the whole world. If I have a problem and you don't share a faith exhortation with me, then your faith is, what good is it? Where's your works to go along with that? So I understand how that ties together. Uh, at least I believe I do. Uh, and that's why I'm always and enjoy meeting with with like people of like faith. Uh, Most of the time, I come away exhorted, whether I started out to get that, if I needed it or not. I come away feeling good because something of value, something of meat has been instilled or spoken out by either you or Thad or Pastor Valentine or whoever. Uh, it's a wonderful, wonderful way God set that up if people would just follow it. Have you enjoyed my preaching?
You betcha. You need a congregation.
That's my sermon, Thad.
Thad and I are enough of a congregation for you to be anointed. So.
I can't tell whether Thad's grinning or grimacing.
Well, I had a fellow pray for me once in a situation where I was helpless, and he said, "God, thank you for putting Bill in this place where he can't do his own will." My first thought was, do I hug him or do I slug him?
Ah,
I decided to hug him. Will y'all excuse me while I go get something to drink? Be right back.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thad, were you taping that?
Yeah.
Ah, good. Well, how's your time at the ranch been?
Been working every day, getting on that grader and grading roads.
Hmm.
But should finish this weekend, and I'll be free for a while from ranch work. Well, for the whole winter.
So the last couple of days you've been free from the cares of the world, right?
Yes.
In a night.
to it at
Pardon?
all. I haven't paid any attention to the cares of the world, and I've slept real good at night.
Isn't that nice?
How dare you? How dare you? Don't you know that's an offense against the satanic realm? Don't
Ah,
don't you care? I think
yeah, you're asking for trouble. You're at perfect pace. How dare you?
what's your problem?
Yeah. Hmm. Well, what's going on with your groups?
Before I say, I'm gonna tell you, I'm going to hang on to what I just heard because I heard the Lord in what I said that truth without life exchange is as much a failure as faith without works. I'm going to hang on to that one today. That one's that one sort of fell out of my mouth and I caught it before it got away.
Well, good.
Yeah, I'm going to hang on to that.
But we have it recorded, so it'll be there for all
Oh,
posterity.
good. Then I'm not likely to lose it. Then I can go back and get it again if I put it down and forget where I left it. Like that.
You,
I know where my keys are now. So
you gonna post this on YouTube, Thad?
It's automatically
Oh, okay.
right now. It's live right now.
All right.
Be careful what you say. Somebody might be listening.
I've been touched today by an email that I got from a local uh, organization called the Bay Area Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse. I know one of the founding members of that. She was a state representative in Austin to one of the jurisdictions here in Corpus Christi. Her name is Connie Scott, and she and her husband Mike are believers. And she at a recent gala where they had, a fundraising event, she began to open the meeting up, and as she opened it up, she offered a thought or two on how God brought her into this and how He's been sustaining her through her political career and through her activities in forming this group, which is formed around being against something. But hidden in that organization is what they are actually promoting and advocating. They are promoting and advocating for a healthy justice system and for a proper use of the access that all citizens have to that system. It's not just about the criminals, it's about the civil side more than anything else, because that's where real lawsuit abuse is. Although there is a lot of uh, lawlessness and depravity in the criminal side of things too, both from the justice side and the defense side. So I read her newsletter today, and in her newsletter she made some very positive statements about changes they are hoping to see and hoping to influence within the grassroots society. And we have a couple of district court judges in our Christian leaders group. And I've been thinking I need to talk to them because one of the things that I think I've taken to my own heart, that this is the way of the Lord and this is how I am to cooperate with what the Lord's interests are, beginning with this small group of Christian leaders who meet in my home every week, 2 times a week. And we've felt from early times when we began to meet that the way we're meeting and what God is doing in the midst of our meeting together, that it should go further than my house and our meeting table. It should grow. The way I put that together early was, we're going to need a bigger place if the group is going to grow. And nothing happened about a bigger place or adding more people very easily or very well. So as we continued to seek the Lord on that, what became clear is that the kind of table meeting that we have, what makes it spiritually authentic and spiritually relevant, that kind of gathering should multiply, not just this one get bigger, but that it should multiply. So since we've been meeting with the Christian leaders that are not Christian church leaders, they're just Christians out in the marketplace and in the workplace, another picture has been forming in my mind that they constitute the seedbed for more of these tables forming, but forming within their professional groups. So these 2 district judges that we have, I began to think, I need to talk to them about putting together or meeting with a group of justice system people who are like-minded, who feel a responsibility to correct and bring into alignment the things in the justice system that are not in alignment with godly order. And as I got this email today, I thought, here's a Christian leader of a Christian group that is not, everybody in the group is not all Christian, but some are. Some of them are legislators. Some of them are appeals court judges. Some of them are state Supreme Court judges. Some of them are bailiffs and deputies in the courtroom. Some of them are district court judges. Some of them are clerks for the judges or district clerks within that system and that serves the justice system. They've got such a huge cross-section of people that are in and people that are not in the justice system, but who are like-minded about, can't we see a fair and just justice system? Can't we help that happen? So I started writing a letter today to Connie Scott, asking her, would you please consider forming privately, quietly within that group, a group of Christians who will offer a kind of a support system, especially to the highly placed in the justice system, because of the temptations that they face, and because of the human resistance against them, because of the spiritual resistance against them, and bring them together to identify what their real tactics of the enemy are to spoil and poison the system, so that they can mount a godly resistance to it and bring alignment back into the justice system. So as I was getting ready for our talk today, I started to see that maybe a couple of important pieces of the puzzle that lead to a prosperous culture within a certain geography. And there's 2 things that I can kind of see as point A and point B on a list. Point A is gather like-minded people together within an interest area and help them begin to bond together spiritually, so that they are more likely to be of one heart, one soul, one mind, and one accord, and to have a sense for going more towards that in an ongoing, progressive way. Help them form that character of who they are, of people that populate a certain aspect of the culture. In this case, the justice system. And then point B would be to help them then become a Hebrews 10:24 spiritual support group. Hebrews 10:24, y'all probably know, says to study one another in order to help one another, or to, the King James word, I think, is to provoke one another. Another interpretation of provoke is to spur one another, or maybe to coach one another towards love and good deeds, or coach one another towards alignment with God, alignment with Jesus, alignment with his ways, alignment with his presence, alignment with his person, so that Jesus would feel comfortable making his residence in your courtroom or in your legislative seat or in whatever capacity you sit, that Jesus would feel comfortable abiding in that place with you to bring his strength, his might, and his authority to establish the peace of the Lord and alignment with the Lord in that particular area. So number one, begin to help them bond together. Number two, help them begin to guard and advance and advocate for one another in their spiritual strength and Christian life, in their faith and truth life, in their love for life with the kingdom of God. Help them bond, help them grow, help them guard. They can become their own guards. It's not uncharacteristic. For instance, doctors and lawyers have their own, inside their system, code. A doctor will not talk about another doctor. He won't run another doctor down. He won't hear an accusation against another doctor so that he takes it up to be offended by it or to be offended with you by it. The same is true in the legal profession. Legal lawyers do not ridicule and take one another apart in public, but they do have their own, within both of those, they have their own police system. So it's not unknown. It's just not spiritually applied. What if we begin now to spiritually apply it? So I'm seeing those two things as components of spiritually applying and making application for transformation within an area of discipline and society. What do y'all, if y'all are hearing me, what's coming to you as I leave off sharing that?
Well, I think the aspect of not increasing the size within your home is correct, because you're right. Sooner or later, your home and anything else you'd have wouldn't be big enough. Uh, but the concept of an individual with his own sphere of influence, uh, getting together with people of like mind and like faith, and start to talk about and encourage one another in their daily activity, of ensuring a godly approach. I think that's on target. I think that that could go forward on almost every individual in your CEO group.
Listen, I'm going to ask to be excused again for another minute. Y'all be thinking about it. Kate just came in and she's been to the grocery store. I need to help her carry things in.
All right,
It'll be a minute or two.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
While we're